Up next, we have the Executive Director's Report. Ashley.
Good morning, President Lee, Superintendent Designee Wright, and board members. With regard to board actions and legal matters for Pinnacle Education Keno, the court has ordered that the board order be vacated and that the matter be remanded back to our board for reconsideration. Therefore, the board will reconsider this issue at a later date, and I'll provide you more information going forward. For Fountain Hills, the board did issue a notice of intent to revoke, and a hearing is scheduled before the Office of Administrative Hearings this Friday. That decision will then come back to you for further board action at a later date. For accelerated elementary and secondary schools, the board at its last meeting did issue a notice of intent to revoke, and board staff is in discussion with the charter holder and legal counsel. Legal counsel is in the process of drafting the formal notice and scheduling a hearing in front of OA. For Arizona Education Solutions, this is the charter that has appealed its board's decision to approve a partial enrollment cap. At this time, board staff is under the impression that the expansion request will be reconsidered by the board at a later date and before March 1st. March 1st, the board must provide OA an update as to the matter. As for consent agreements, the board anticipates bringing consent agreements to the board for consideration for Espiritu Community Development, Tucson International Academy, Cambridge Academy East, Harvest Power Community Development Group, Portable Practical Educational Preparation, New Horizon High School, and Triumphant Learning Center. Moving on to my update on approved amendments and termination agreements. Since the board last met in December, I have not approved any AOI amendment requests, nor has Board President Lee approved any voluntary surrender agreements. However, I have approved 65 amendment requests since December. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Serena to do an update on policy and legislation.
Good morning, board members, President Lee. Thank you for having me today. As you may know, today is the beginning of legislative session. Just so you know, there are a number of new members filling positions due to resignations with it being an election year. So board staff has been busy meeting with legislators and House and Senate staff to provide information on our charters before the beginning of session, and we will continue to do so as needed. This session, the board is running a bill to make a few changes to charter statute, as I have discussed before. That bill adds charter representatives and charter governing body members to the fingerprint clearance card law. It repeals the process of early renewal that is enshrined in statute. And then it also contains a change to the language of the 60-day cure notice requirement, and we are still working through a few small changes to that language before it's finalized. We expect that the governor's budget will be released on Friday, and I can update board members after that comes out as well. We are hoping that our budget request is completely intact in the governor's budget, so fingers crossed. We are expecting this session to have a few bills related to alternative education, dropout recovery programs, and then public school funding as well. We are not expecting another pause on letter grades as has happened in the previous session. But again, I will keep the board informed regarding any major legislation throughout session. And of course, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Serena. Board members, I do want to inform you of some board member updates. Rachel Yonup has resigned from the board. She has taken a job with Osborne Maladon to support charters and their operations going forward. And because of that, unfortunately, she had to step off the board. At this time, the board now has 2 vacancies. So Serena and I have been in communication with the governor's office and boards and commissions, and we will continue to be in communication with them regarding the vacancies. And we will make sure to continue to update you on that progress as well. And President Lee, that is all I have to report.
Great. Board members, do you have any questions for Ashley before we move on? Okay. Then if not, the next item is the call to public, but no written public comment received and there was no request to speak received. So we'll go ahead and go on to item G, election of officers. I go ahead and like to move.
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, okay, go for it.
First of all, I'd like to thank Rachel for her service on the board. She's awesome. So good luck to you. I'd like to nominate Hans Dieter Close as vice president for the next upcoming term. I'll second. Thank you.
Aaron, roll call.
Any discussion?
No.
So Vice President Close,
Abstain.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Mr. Mason,
Aye.
Ms. Rice,
Thank you for your service, Hans. Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes through majority.
And President Lee, may I make another motion?
Please.
I'd like to nominate Mary Ellen Lee as president for the next.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Aaron, roll call.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Mr. Mason,
Aye.
Ms. Rice,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
President Lee.
I'll abstain as well.
Motion passes through majority.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, woohoo, okay. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. There's one thing. So with that, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Aaron, roll call.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Mr. Mason,
Aye.
Ms. Rice,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Okay, up next, we have our charter amendments, and I'm very excited. Our education program managers will be presenting those. And so first up, we have American Leadership Academy, Inc., presented by Shannon. So Shannon will go ahead and give us the introduction, and then at that time, we can ask any representatives from ALA to come forward, or you guys are here. Okay, I see some head shaking, perfect, to come forward and then state your name for the record.
Good morning, President Lee, Vice President Close, and Superintendent Designee Wright. American Leadership Academy, Inc. has submitted a new school amendment request to add American Leadership Academy Mesa North K-6 to its charter. The new school would be located in Mesa near the Loop 202 and Thomas Road, serves students in grades K-6, and is planned to open in fiscal year 2024. The charter holder does not meet the staff recommendation criteria because two of its current schools do not perform at or above this average performance of schools within 5 miles of their current locations, as detailed in the executive summary. Additionally, American Leadership Academy Queen Creek K-12 does not perform at or above the average performance of schools within a 5-mile radius of the proposed location. I'm available if you have any questions.
Board members, are there any questions for Shannon before we invite the charter holder up? Okay. Seeing none, if the charter holder would like to come up, you can state your name for the record and any statement you'd like to make. Yep, right up here. Yep.
Hi, good morning. My name is Chris Moss. I'm the division president for Charter One, overseeing Arizona operations. So my job is to oversee the daily operations of ALA's, all of ALA's campuses. With me this morning is Dr. Rebecca Brewer, our chief of academics, and Mr. Rob Nelson, our chief of compliance. And then dialing in via Zoom is the charter holder, Mr. Way, as well as the executive leadership team of Charter One, the EMO for American Leadership Academy. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today. I would like to start off by saying thank you to the staff for their support and for their assistance over the year. It continues to be a strong partnership, and we appreciate it. I'd also like to say thank you for the accountability systems that we have in place. Continuous improvement is important to ALA, and having that outside validation of where we can be better is important. So we thank you for that. With regards to the report from the staff on the ALA North Mesa campus, no doubt that comparison to our peer schools is valuable and useful and is something that we rely on. But ALA's view is that our primary objective is first and foremost 100% pass rate on the state standardized test. So comparison to peer schools, while important, we don't want to lose sight of what our true objective is, which is to make sure that all of our students are passing all of the state standardized tests. And so as we look at most of the data that we have, we recognize that the academic year 2021 was a bit of an outlier. A significant portion of that year was kind of focused on remediation from the COVID year, the COVID impacted year prior. And so we kind of take that with an understanding that that is not representative of what we have traditionally seen in ALA's academic performance relative to its neighboring schools, but also relative to the state standards. We know even in that 2021 year, we slightly outperformed the state average, but again, that's not the benchmark we wish to hold ourselves to, and we know that that we want to do better. So that said, we set out on a plan even before the school year started to make some changes to increase the emphasis on our academic areas. So the administration staff of the 3 campuses that were mentioned in the report have been replaced with new individuals that we think can provide some new energy at those campuses. Secondly, Dr. Brewer and the academic team have developed a new strategy for academics that we think will enhance focus on core teaching. And we think a bit of a get back to basics strategy is important as we come out of the kind of the COVID impacted years. And then finally, we've developed and implemented a new teacher evaluation system that really has stronger tie to basic core teaching skills. We've had very good feedback from that evaluation tool as it's been used already this year. And we believe that those changes are going to posture us well as we head into this year. With respect to the application in general, we're very excited about the opportunity or the prospects of being able to establish a campus, a K-12 campus in North Mesa. We have already received very strong demand among families in that area to come to North Mesa. In fact, we have over 1,000 expressed interest in that campus. And that kind of demand is another valuable feedback metric that we use as well. It's a signal to us that our families believe in what we're offering. That goes beyond academics. We attempt to bring the whole school experience, and the high school side in particular, whole high school experience to our students. And so that's as our mission statement would say, a moral and wholesome environment, a positive campus experience, and being a school of opportunity for our students. And so I just wanted to give those kind of thoughts as context to the report. And we certainly have the team here available to answer any questions that you may have this morning.
Great. Board members, are there any questions for the charter representative?
Yes. And I know you covered it a little bit, but so the staff, the 2 schools that don't meet, how many schools do you operate?
Depending on it's 13 total individual, either K-6 or 712 campuses. Some of them combined, some of them separate.
And the 2 that don't meet in the surrounding 100 miles. I mean, I know you said your goal is to get them short and be proficient for all the state tests, but
right.
Is there any story there, or is that just?
There is. Both of those are unique campuses. So one of the campuses is the Signal Butte Elementary campus. It's a Title I school for us, and it sits on the edge of a Title I, non-Title I boundary. So frankly, it has the misfortune from a statistics and a metric standpoint of being right on the boundary of a very good academic neighborhood. In other words, its peer schools are strong performing schools in the states. It also, just by nature of how it happens to sit, has a fairly high ESS population. And this year in particular, last year and carrying into this year, we saw a very high percentage of very high need students. Now, that's not to be meant to be offered as an excuse. We obviously are committed to providing the best educational experience for those students as well, but it does challenge some of our testing results. And so what we've done with regard to that campus is we've provided additional ESS staffing to that campus this year. We've provided an additional administrator at that campus focused solely on campus operations to free up the ESS staff to be able to dedicate time to those students. And we've also developed and implemented a Pathfinder program to deal specifically with our zones and skills students that will free up the core administration to focus more directly on our general education students. So we feel the moves in that campus are going to serve us well. We have a similar problem on sort of the other side of our boundary. So that's the Gilbert South Elementary School. And that also sits on a fault line, if you will, between a very strong performing set of schools in an area that's a little bit historically less performing. So we've got the same kind of boundary challenges there. And we've taken some of the same measures from the Signal Butte and applied them to the Gilbert South. So again, we feel good about the direction those schools are headed in. And again, I don't want to sound as though we're making excuses. We accept the challenges of those schools and the inherent quality of those schools, and we're committed to delivering excellence in academics for those schools, just as we are for any other schools.
Thank you. Follow up. Just so, and I'm really more curious about what's going on in our world with COVID and how that's impacted our children. If you look at Signal Butte, test scores for all your schools there for ELA and math, there's no grade in 21, really dropped off more precipitously than any of your other schools. Is that just part of what everyone's dealing with? Or?
We think it is. I would, to be perfectly candid with you, we would like to understand the dynamic better. We don't have the answer on why things are unfolding the way they are. It does appear that certain pockets of our population were hit more dramatically than others by the disruption of COVID. And so implementing a fix without truly understanding root cause is always difficult. So we've done the best analysis we can do to try to understand root cause of the challenge, and we're trying to address it. But to your point, it does appear to be sort of an outlier, especially at Signal Butte. It's hard for us to understand why that campus in particular took the turn that it did. But as I said, one of the initial steps there was just to basically create a change in personnel. So that entire administrative team has been replaced with people who have different personality sets and different skill sets. And we think that's going to set us up well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
What is your, what is your ESS population out there? Do you know the percentage?
It's 16.4, I think, %. So, yep. And if I could, more dramatic than that, it's also the percentage. The nature of that ESS population isn't like our other campuses. It's a particularly high percentage of very high needs kids. And frankly, we haven't had a campus have that kind of demand before. So we're going through a little bit of learning on how best to meet the needs of that particular demographic as well.
Sure. Board members, are there any other questions? I just have a question about, because you currently have 2 campuses that are not open yet for new campuses. Is that correct?
We have the West Foothills campus in Surprise, the west side of town. We have the Anthem 712 campus being built down in Florence. And then we have our new Applied Technology campus being built. So, and the Applied Technology is a different kind of campus, but yes, so 3 that will be open for us in August.
Okay, and those 3 will be opening, so this upcoming, the 22-23 school year,
yes,
but this school will not be opening until the 23, so we're not trying to add a 4th to open.
That's correct. This would be the following year, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure, and I had read that in the documents, but I just wanted to make sure, and it's my understanding the delay on those was like COVID, and because they were gonna open last.
It was, yes, it was actually building permits. So we had applied, we anticipated the supply chain issues and actually submitted all of our building permit requests further in advance than we normally do. And for example, out in the Surprise West Foothills area, what normally takes us 30 days wound up taking 6 months. And we did not have enough margin, even though we built margin into the schedule, we did not have enough margin to recover. So yes, ma'am, both of those are a result of COVID related issues.
Typically when we get a request like this, I usually am like a hawk and look at the data and because this is they're all very important, but this is the one that I really look at. And obviously I think what counterweights, the schools is that you have a very robust portfolio that is performing. The other thing I really appreciate is you came here prepared. We have a lot of I think that's the biggest thing the board asks is not that you guys are perfect by any means, but that you come with a plan and a plan that's been implemented and not a plan that you're going to implement. That's always really hard for us to make decisions on plans that may happen, right? So I really appreciate you guys coming. It sounds like you've done a lot of work prior, not just because you were coming here, but because you want to do that as a school. And so I really appreciate that. The other thing is I appreciate you not coming up here asking for an ECAP, because a lot of times schools, you know, they try to do the whole thing, and we've, I think, hopefully kind of set the standard of wanting to see the growth, right? You have so many new schools coming, and so I just wanted to say that I appreciate you guys not doing it that way. And I'm sure you'll be up here, you know, soon for that ECAP. I see the numbers, so I know that you're going to need it. But I just, you know, I think it's important to note that I appreciate the way that you guys are doing this. And so with that, I feel really comfortable with this, even though there's the recommendation is a no. But are there any other questions or comments from board members? And if not, is there a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. And I just want to thank you for having ready and reasonable answers to all our few questions.
Yes, sir.
I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the request to add a new school to the contract held by American Leadership Academy.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. With the roll call, please.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Mr. Mason,
Aye.
Ms. Rice,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, we have Flagstaff Montessori LLC, and Rachel will be presenting.
Good morning, President Lee.
President Lee, this is Matt Mason. I'd like to recuse from this item as I previously represented Flagstaff Montessori LLC.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mason.
Okay. Good morning, President Lee, Superintendents Designee Wright, and board members. I apologize for not being in person this morning, but it was unavoidable. Flagstaff Montessori LLC submitted a request for a change in its legal status. The change in legal status includes a change of the entity name, as well as a transition from for-profit to nonprofit. The sole member of the LLC wishes to convert the charter holder to a tax-exempt nonprofit corporation with an independent board of directors to give the school a greater chance at long-term sustainability and success. The charter holders board members will experience a 100% change in order to ensure that independent board. The new nonprofit corporate board and the school's governing body will be one and the same after the transition. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Board members, any questions for Rachel before we invite the charter holder, I think virtually, in person? Okay, virtually. I don't see any heads nodding. Okay. All right, no questions for Rachel. So that being said, if there's a charter representative from Flagstaff Montessori LLC, if you'd like to unmute yourself at this time, you can state your name for the record and any statement you'd like to make.
Hi, my name is Eric Alexander. I'm the charter holder. On the meeting with us is Ike Ozy. She's the head of school, and he has prepared our remarks.
Thank you, Eric. I hope you can see me. Let me open my, perfect. Yep, thank you very much, appreciate it. So as Rachel mentioned, we would like to convert from a for-profit to a nonprofit organization to better serve our students in the community. Converting to a nonprofit, we will have an independent board, and that will bring better governance oversight and will allow us to access to more resources to serve our students better. As you may know, as a for-profit organization, for example, we do not receive IDEA funds, so we only receive about $200 in a year as a whole, and we are a public charter school, so we serve all students. Our special ed student ratio is 10%. So change like this would allow us to receive more resources. And I would like to thank Eric for allowing this change, and this is a significant gift to the community. So I really would like to thank him as the charter representative and the owner, and I'm available for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions?
President Lee?
Yes.
Sorry. Good morning. Just so I get what you're trying to do. How far along in this process are you? You know, in you have the proposed board members. Are you waiting for our approval to move forward? And is the transition almost complete, or if you can just talk to that?
Is the question for me or for you, Rachel? I can answer, but
I would like the school to answer.
sure. So we've been working with the board, with the executives of the board, with Rachel, Ashley, and our representative. We've also been working with Ellis Carter at the Caritas Law Group. So we've drafted all the necessary documents. So right after the board approval, all will be filed with the Arizona Corporate Commission, and we will follow with the process. So we are at the currently pending board approval. We'll move forward and hoping to go to nonprofit fully by the end of this year.
Thank you.
Board members, are there any other questions for the charter holder? Can you just give me a brief overview? And I know we get the resumes of everyone that's on the school governing body, but can you give me a brief overview of just like who is now going to be on the governing team? Like kind of what
Sure.
their background, just a brief of like what their backgrounds are.
Sure, I'll be happy to. So we will have 5 board members on the board, and so all of them are parents. So we have Anne, who is the CEO of the North Country Healthcare. She is our parent, and she's a medical doctor. So we would like to have a medical doctor on our board. She's invested in the community, and with the COVID, she's been helping us with our COVID advisory team, and COVID doesn't seem to go away in the next few months, unfortunately. So we will have Anne, and we will have Kyler, who is also a doctor, not medical doctor, but has a PhD in physics, and he is the Chief Technology Officer of the Lowell Observatory. And he has 3 kids at our school, a member of the community, lives very close to the school and very invested. And we have Dr. Sarah Clancy, who is a behavior specialist and serves students in the Navajo reservation. And we have Bea Thayer, who works for the Yavapai County, and there's a lot of nonprofit organization experience. And we also have Mr. Vaughn, who is a local business owner who has a lot of experience with small businesses, and has 2 beautiful children. So they're all parents, but they're all professionals, and they have experience in different areas. So hopefully we'll have access to their experience, and they're not related to school. There's no conflict other than them being a parent, but they're not employees. None of them have any existing conflicts, and we provided all the documentation to the board. So they'll be hopefully great candidates for the board.
Great, awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, any last questions? Okay, if not, is there a motion?
Sure. I move based on the information contained in the board materials and presented today to approve the charter holder status amendment request to change the legal status of Flagstaff Montessori LLC from a for-profit limited liability corporation to a not-for-profit corporation.
One second.
Thank you, Aaron McCroll.
Vice President Close.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright. Superintendent Designee Wright.
Aye.
Ms. Rice.
Aye.
Mr. Stratton. Aye. Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you for being here.
Thank
Okay, up next, we have Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States, Inc. This is a new school, and presentation by Rachel.
Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States, Inc. has submitted a new school amendment request to add International Commerce High School MCG to its charter. The proposed new school will be located in Mesa near South Country Club and West Baseline Road, serve grades 9 through 12, and open in fiscal year 2023. The charter holder was not able to meet the staff recommendation criteria because its data regarding percent proficient is redacted in the ADE public data file. Therefore, a comparison to like schools cannot be made. I'm available for any questions if there are any.
Board members, are there any questions for Rachel? Okay. If not, then it looks like the representative of the chair. Oh,
I'm sorry,
go. Yes.
President Lee?
Yep.
Rachel, and can you tell us why that information is redacted?
So it could be for a variety of reasons. My understanding is this is a school that only primarily serves 11th and 12th graders. So the number of students tested is quite a bit lower than your traditional school. Also considering this is an alternative school, that can be a factor. It is important to note that additional proficiency data information was included in this report, as it is in all of our executive summaries, which does demonstrate that the reason the data appears redacted is because the proficient and highly proficient percentages are redacted. They do have a percentage available in the report on page 4 regarding the percentage of students that are minimally proficient, but only for math.
Can I just say back what I think I heard you say?
Yes, you may.
Okay. What I heard you say is that, so is it because there was such a low amount of proficient, highly proficient that they had to be redacted?
For math, that is accurate. For ELA, it would appear they do not have enough test records to have any of those numbers released.
Okay, and I'm sure that the charter holder will talk about that when they come.
I'm sure they can.
Yep, perfect. Do you have a follow-up? No, you're good. Okay, so yes, if the charter holder could go ahead and come up, if you would like to state your name for the record, and then I believe you have a statement you'd like to make. So,
thank you so much.
yes.
President Lee, Superintendent Designee Wright, and members of the board, my name is Michael Kurt. I'm the Vice President of the Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States. With me is Sue Durkin, Lead Instructor and immediate past President of Arizona's Alternative Education Consortium. On Zoom is Dr. David Kurt, Charter Holder, and Anita Cohen, Business Manager of the Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States. I appreciate the staff's work in moving the new school amendment request before you today. The mission of the International Commerce High School is to prepare adult high school students 16 years of age to 21 years of age academically for occupational education, post-secondary education, social responsibility, employability, and lifelong learning. The International Commerce High School also provides basic adult education, adult secondary education, literacy, and English language acquisition for adults. We typically budget for 200 adult students per year. 2 years ago, we had 330 adult students enrolled, and last year we had 477 adult students enrolled. We did an analysis, and students travel an average of 11 miles to come to our Tempe campus. 25% of those come from the East Valley. The new campus at 1855 South Country Club Drive would serve as a convenient location for this population. The recent impact of COVID-19 has also increased the demand for overaged, undercredited adult students to take advantage of the opportunities that we provide. You've been provided data demonstrating the success for all adult learners meeting high school academic standards and college and career readiness standards. In this PowerPoint presentation, I would like to highlight several slides. If we go to slide 12, let's see here. This is the competency exam averages for 538 adult learners enrolled. The score of a 145 is recognized by the Arizona Department of Education as high school equivalency. The red indicates when students start with us. The blue is after students complete our reading foundations courses, which is where we teach them how to study by having them look up all the high school graduation requirements. And then the green is they're tested after the curriculum and before they graduate. If we go to slide 15, we use a robust menu of assessments to demonstrate college and career readiness. One of these is the ACT WorkKeys National Career Readiness Certificate earned by adult learners. Nationally, only 19% of individuals who earn this credential qualify at the gold level or higher, which is recognized for college credit. 36% of our students qualify at this level. If we go on to the next slide, We also use other indicators for college and career readiness, such as the American Heart Association Basic Life Support, Workplace Readiness, and Work Study. If we go to the next slide, what's that? Put it again and go back. Okay. It's this one here. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the number of adult learners earning the American Heart Association Basic Life Certification, as well as Workplace Readiness and Work Study credit. And this is also the number of adult earning. This is the, all right, that's the one I want. Yes, all right. This is the number of adult learners earning college credit through the American Council on Education College Credit Recommendation Service through the CLEP. Through the CLEP or the ACT Work Keys or the GED Ready College Credit Plus Credit. If we go on to the next one, this is a list of our student achievement. So our graduates have admitted to these colleges and universities. Several of our graduates have come back to teach for us, one from Swarthmore and one from Stanford. We also take responsibility in all of the fees associated with any of these assessments. We look forward to expanding in the East Valley to continue to serve this adult population, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions for the charter holder?
President Lee?
Please.
Give other people a chance for a second. Yep. So looking at this, and I heard you talk about the distance that some of your students travel, but also just a little bit close to high school. We're going to open one. We've had some closures, and it seems like you have a lot of capacity to do what you're doing. And that 87%, it's sort of a secondary issue, sort of, just really compared to what you put on the slideshow. I don't really understand. So you can connect some of the dots on both the school closing, the need for now this new one, and then also talk about that.
Sure. President Lee, board members, I appreciate the question. The International Commerce High School Tempe was set up with a mission to serve students who are 16 to 21 who were severely undercredited and overaged. The other schools that we had, the Humanities and Sciences High School, was our college preparatory university, and that was set up to serve students that were younger than that. There is a lot of competition at that point, and a lot of schools such as Basis, Great Hearts, several schools in the East Valley do a really good job serving those students, and there just wasn't the demand for it for what we were doing. We've been around since 1997. We set up our schools to serve an older population, and we've been doing that very, very successfully since that time. We had a school up on the Navajo Nation that we served quite successfully, but we couldn't get a fire marshal up there to authorize the facility when the DNA College asked for us to move locations into their main building. So because we couldn't comply with that, we closed that school. I'm not sure if that answered your question. Do you have any other questions related to that?
Yeah, you can move on to the 87%.
And would you, 87%?
There's a stat in our package that says, and Rachel talked about it, that all the data has been redacted except for this one number where 87% of your students are at the minimally proficient level in math.
Where did you see it back here? Would you refer me to a page number?
It's on page 4. Your executive summary.
Executive summary.
I see. Sure. If you go to broad slides to relate to that.
Yeah.
So if we go to this slide here, this is an example of 25, this is a percentage of cohort 2023 Hispanic students who enrolled between August 30th and October 20th of this past year. And for comparison, on the left-hand side is the definition in the Arizona Administrative Code of what the completion of grade 10 is. 8% of those students that came in met the definition for the Arizona Administrative Code. The number of schools that were attended by that group were not their first school. 9 of them attended 2 schools before they came to us, but many more attended more than that. This cites the amount of credits that they came to us with. So if you look there, 7 of them came with 0 math credits. 6 of them came with a half of a math credit. 5 of them came, or 6 of them came with a full math credit. 5 of them came with 5 of them came with 1.5 math credits, and 2 of them came with 2 full math credits. And you can see the comparison there for thank you. The English as well. 4 of them came with 0 English credits. 8 came with a half of credit. 6 came with 1 credit earned. 5 of them came with 1.5 credits, and 2 of them came with 2 credits earned. And then we have those same numbers for the social studies and the science, but you can see that these are juniors that enrolled with us this year, and this is an assessment of what they came to us with. We did that initial assessment, and of these, you can see the two numbers are on the left are the 5 and the 10. Those are basically the score ranges. So the middle one is basically students that score in a range that's for the adult basic education, which is basically 1st through 8th grade. And then on the left is the test range where they have English limited proficiency scores for English language, including reading, writing, and listening and speaking. Then you have that same information on the math. This is an assessment. So this is kind of information that I showed you. So that's an indicator. So when you have a student that enrolls in October with 0 math credits, we work really hard to get them up to speed, but it's really hard to get them 3 years worth of mathematics in the amount of time before the test is. So what we do in order to demonstrate proficiency is we give them an assessment when they first come in, which is that red mark. And then we test them as they complete our curriculum, and we test them before they leave, and we're able to demonstrate that they get up to post-secondary levels. And so in the example that I provided, it's relevant this year because those are the students that are going to be taking the ACT test when it's given in October. So that's kind of the landscape that we work in, and we'll take anybody at any point in time throughout the year. We have students that are enrolling today, but they come to us at this point, and we're happy to give them the opportunity to move forward to earn their high school diploma, which is a credential that they can do to earn a livable wage and move forward. But that's the landscape that we deal with. And if you look at the state website data, it said that last week it said that the graduation rate was 78%. It means over 1/5 of the population hasn't graduated every year. And this is a huge demographic that needs services. And if you tie that exactly to the data that the executive summary says, and that there's no comparable data within 5 or 10 miles, that dovetails with the demand for that. I mean, if you put a point on our school and do a radius, there's a ton of schools within that radius, but they're coming to us because we're the ones that will serve them and give them an opportunity.
Can you remind me, I should know the answer to this, what grade levels in high school were tested last year? Was it just sophomores? I know it was by cohort, but if we could talk grade level, that's easier for me.
It was a sophomores.
Just sophomores.
Just sophomores. And it was, so a couple years back, they did end of course testing for freshmen, sophomore, and juniors. They changed that to go to sophomores, and now they're changing it to go to juniors. And again, we believe in assessment. That's why we have such a robust portfolio of college and career readiness assessments that we use. But one of the challenges that we have with, we believe in ACT testing. It's one of the things that we would prefer it be an end of course test, because, we'll test all of these students, but if you have a kid with 0 math credits and they're sitting for that assessment, we're hoping that they'll do better as they go forward, but that's kind of what we deal with. So anyway. But
So we have just a follow-up, when you're showing all that data, and I just am confused, why were you showing the subpopulation for the Hispanics?
sure, that's a great question. If you look at our enrollment summary, down at the bottom, you can see we have a handful of ninth graders, but these are people that are 16 years and older that have been in school for the first time. We have 7 sophomores, we have 64 juniors, and then we have 223 seniors. But if you go over to the Hispanic population, that's the majority of students that we have. So that was why we pulled that data. But it wouldn't be different for a lot of the other stuff.
And
Can I ask a follow-up question to that? Like, I guess I still am confused as to why why would you just include all, like, okay, here's my real question, I'm just gonna ask it, sometimes I get in trouble up here. So does the data look worse if you include the other groups? Is that why you grabbed just the?
No,
I guess
no,
I'm just
this-
confused as to why you include the whole data,
This
even
was
though there's
just
a population.
It was the population, but I guess that when we pulled this was for people who enrolled with us between between August and October. Now you can see we've got we've got 64 students in that population that we're testing, and more have enrolled there. It wasn't anything in particular. It was just we've been designated as a targeted support and improvement school for our Hispanic subgroup through the Arizona Department of Education, and so that's one of the reasons. Yeah, and it's just to show what the landscape is, and understand that none of those students have ever been with us before. I mean, this is who's enrolling brand new this year. It's not like they've carried over before.
Wait, stop. Do you guys? I can't remember what students are actually counted in their proficiency scores. Like, when do they have to enroll by? Do you know, or maybe doesn't mean right? Maybe you know. I know that's kind of a random. I at one point knew this, but I don't want to misspeak. Miss Wright has her hand up. Perfect.
And I'll backtrack because I had my hand up before you asked the question. That is a question I'm not 100% on. I would want to confirm with accountability. I know typically we count phase students, so students who have had a full academic year. But for CSI, TSI, which is a federal designation, that designation may be different from what we use for our state accountability calculation. So I'd want to confirm that before I answered on the record.
Okay. Yeah, because I believe, like, if a student shows up in January, they don't actually adversely or help, depending on where they're at, your actual proficiency scores.
For state accountability, so for report card grades, yes, but the federal designation is slightly different. So I'm not certain whether they would count in that category or not.
Okay. All right. Designee Wright, did you have another question?
I did. Thank you, President Lee. I just had a question just to clarify. When you call out Hispanic or Latino students, are you differentiating between English learners and the ethnicity?
No, this is everybody. This is just enrollment data based on how they filled out their enrollment form. It has nothing else to do with that. And you can see we'd be happy to submit data for everybody if that would help.
What percentage of your Hispanic students would, and maybe you don't know, but are considered English learners?
I think about 4%. 4%.
4% of your total population or 4% of your Hispanic population?
4% of the total population.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
sorry, President Lee, in one of your slides you showed, here it looks like you have, is that current data?
That was taken January 4th.
About 300 students?
Roughly. 296. Yeah.
And then, but you talked about enrolling over 500?
We're open entry, open exit, which means that we'll start a student any day, and as soon as they finish their program of study, they'll move forward. We won't get paid for that many because of the way the 100th day works and the calculation. I think we're at I think our 40th day calculation was 242, and our 100th day projection is 262. But again, we will enroll many students after the 100th day and continue to serve them through the end of the year without receiving any state funding.
So,
So right now we have 296 total enrolled, but our state numbers are at 242, between 242 and 260.
and, you know, I certainly appreciate the work that, you know, schools do. It is a tough one though on the accountability side for us always to measure and see exactly what's going on. It looks like, you know, and this is actually a new one for me. I didn't run across the charter with, unless I missed it before, with the unlimited enrollment cap, because you were kind of.
We've been here since 1997.
Yeah,
We're one of the first 5. So
yeah, first cycle in. And so, you know, I guess I'd like to see more data about how you are succeeding with these kids before we open another campus. You have, you know, you've got 25% of your students that are coming from the East Valley with an average of 11 miles. I'm not sure that, based on what I'm seeing, that I don't think you can keep doing what you're doing and maybe get some better data to us.
well, I appreciate the comment. If I could, when we initially established our schools, we looked at the census data, and in a 10 square mile area of downtown Phoenix, there were 40,000 students that were of high school age that weren't in school and weren't doing anything else. And we set up our schools initially to serve that population. Again, if you look at the graduation rate data, again, 1/5 of the population hasn't finished, and they can earn their high school diploma through 21 years of age. And those are potential taxpayers that need a high school credential or a GED to start contributing to all those opportunities. It's a huge population that needs to be served, and if we have 54 zip codes represented at our Tempe campus, and they're traveling to us because nobody else is serving them, and that's a real challenge because they have the right to go to school, but they're being told no. And so we're one of the few places that will serve an older student, and we do a great job of it because we, as the testing data shows, we use college and career readiness indicators through not only the CLEP exam, but also the ACT work keys, also the American Heart. Our graduates tell our story. They've gotten into all the major universities. They've also gone into the military. I'd be happy to provide more data to you. What you have, though, is a pretty clear snapshot of their success.
Can you talk to me a little bit about your program, and not your online program, but your brick and mortar? Do you have live, like, and just specifically, do you have live teachers? So like they come and take a math class with a live teacher, or
Yes.
is it more, you know, computer based? Just sometimes alternative schools have to get them, you know, because of all the different starts.
Everything that we do is one-to-one. So we have faculty that are hired because they have a dual major, either in English and social studies or math and science. Our facility is set up a lot like a library. We have big tables. We have faculty at each table. Because we start students any day, we'll start them with the orientation packet. It's all inquiry based. So they'll be given a pre-reading question where they'll answer questions related to what they're about to read. They'll read a primary source document twice. The first pass, they will take notes on it, like what they think is important, what they don't understand. Second pass will be directed notes. They'll do some textual analysis. They'll be asked an interpretive question. They'll do a discussion with an instructor, one-to-one, or in small groups. The student basically has to answer the question and then use evidence to support what they're doing. So it's the Socratic method. And then they'll do an assessment, but it's all one-to-one, it's all individualized. So we don't have any classrooms, we don't have any lectures, we just have a wide open space, just like a library. All the students are there, they're either working on their materials, doing research online, or working on their books, or doing discussions with instructors.
So the main curriculum, like the Algebra 1 class, right, is mainly like on a computer, is that correct? With a teacher that comes and like monitors the room and asks for help, or, because I'm assuming you don't have 252 teachers, right? that are
No.
doing one-to-one, so what?
No, thank you. We have study guides, and all of our curriculum has been developed by our own faculty, but students are given a study guide packet that has all the assignments that they're expected to do in a certain amount of time. They'll work through that material, and then they'll sit down with an instructor, and the instructor will not only review it to make sure it's complete, but also they'll have discussions through the material to make sure that the student can explain the concept to the instructor.
Got it. So, okay, so not a computer, but a packet, like, so, I mean, and then support, so.
We do use the Encyclopedia Britannica online. We use several other references or resources that students can go to research on, but it's all one-to-one interaction with the faculty.
So I guess, so then my question is why do you need a new school? So, and here's why I asked this, right? Would they need it? And maybe this is a board staff question. Because am I incorrect that they couldn't just open up that location as like a resource room and then service students there? Like, so, I mean, you have an unlimited cap, enrollment cap. So I guess I'm just why you would want to submit. I'm thinking, I'm the person at my school that submits stuff operationally. So I'm even thinking, why do you want to submit two things, to the state or deal with that,
We were, last year we submitted a new charter application for this site.
Mm-hmm.
We were told that a new school a new school location would be a better option. And so I don't think it's within the 5 miles of our current campus that I think I've noticed is the requirement for some of those things. So we want to serve, it's located on Baseline and Country Club,
sure,
which connects downtown Chandler to downtown Mesa. And it's in a demographic area that we think we would be able to serve well.
But
President Lee, if I may address your question.
Okay, please.
This is Rachel, in case you can't see me, because I don't know what you can see. The question you asked is, could they open it as a resource center? This charter does currently have an approved Arizona online instruction program. As such, they can serve students essentially anywhere under that online program. That would include opening this facility as a learning center, which would not require a new school amendment. They would be serving those students under the AOI and be receiving AOI funding for that, which it is my understanding is 95%. But yes, they could, with that unlimited cap, they could serve these students through that AOI in this facility as a learning center.
Is your AOI approved 9 through 12 or just 11 through 12?
11 and 12.
Okay, so that's why you don't want to do that, because
Right.
you're with the 9th and 10th graders.
Right. And we want to have as many people on site as we can. We would like to serve this community in person.
Yeah, I get that.
President Lee, this is Board Member Wood. I have a question, but if you're not finished, President Lee, I'll wait till after you.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get some clarification. I think that's where we're all trying to get. So with this new campus that you're looking for, I guess my question is, and I believe Board Member Swanson was trying to get at it, is there data or anything that you have that tells us that these individuals that you're trying to reach, that they want this additional campus, or is it preventing them from getting to this other campus? And that's why you believe this is necessary. I'm just trying to figure out, has there been some collection of feedback from the students that say, hey, I would come to your school, but I'm not able to get there. And then you've had to turn people away because they can't make it to this campus?
We have anecdotal data that says that. We have people that are current students that say, I wish my job is relocating me to the West Valley. Do you have a location out there? And we say no. There's, again, I would say that, with 54 zip codes represented coming to Central Tempe, that's an indicator of the demand for what we serve. I think that the location of opening up a new facility at the corner of Baseline and Country Club would certainly give students that live in the East Valley an easier access to come to that location. I mean, and again, the numbers, I have to go back to the census data. I mean, there's a huge demand for the population that we serve because nobody else is doing that. I mean, if you're traveling 11 miles to come to my campus, that means all the schools within that population are not providing you the opportunity that they're required to do. And so I would say that we have been asked about opening up other options. And we feel that there's a huge demand. And we also would be working with employers in the area to make sure that that students that didn't quite have their high school diploma yet would have the opportunity to come to our facility and earn that credential.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to make a couple of comments. I want to commend you on your work. I have some experience working with this population, and it's a difficult one to work with. And just understand that for every student you have enrolled and you're giving an opportunity to earn a diploma with, there's more than one on the other side that, for whatever reason, are not entering that type of program. So I think your idea of creating another school with better market penetration, if that's what you want to call it, to allow better accessibility for these unaddressed potential students is good. I do want to ask if I could just clarify. So first I wanted to commend you for your work. I do want to clarify 3 schools, there were 4 that were closed, but it's the 3 that I'm wondering about. Saley was closed because you couldn't get a fire marshal up now.
Initially, what we did is we set up an agreement where we would take one of their unused residence halls and convert it into a school. Navajo in DNA Community College, located in Saley, Arizona. Beautiful place. If you haven't been there, I'd recommend a trip. But we converted one of their residence halls that they were not using into a school, and we were able to serve members of that community to prevent them from having to do the 50-mile trip one way to Chinley and then back. And what we did is we put them through all of the high school graduation requirements, and then for their elective credits, we put them into DNA Community College, and we basically they earned their elective credits through that community college. At a certain point in time, DNA College said, we'd like to have our residence hall back, and they gave us space in their main facility there, but we couldn't get a fire marshal to come up and inspect. And it was a 3-year wait. So because we wouldn't have met, and there's only one fire marshal for the entire northern Arizona. So we were forced to close that location.
I understand that. Yeah. I was curious about International Commerce Institute. I was open for 10 years. Did that close? Dr. Kurt, do you want to touch base about that? I think that was a name change, is what that was.
There's 2 Anitas.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Ms. David Kurt. It was International Commerce Institute, and we changed it to Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States. The institute was a nonprofit, and we changed it to a for-profit.
So that school's still in existence now? You did a name, so you closed the school to do a name change, and that's the school you have open right now?
I think that's correct.
Can board staff confirm that? I'm just confused by that because the school you have open now also says that it's been open since August. They both have the same start date. So wouldn't they have to have like one ended here and the next one started like the next month if that was the case?
I am wondering. Yeah.
And as a side note, do we now have a process where if a school wants to change the name, they don't have to close down?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, that's a request that I could sign off on as the executive director, and it's just a nice name change notification.
Okay. Okay.
And to like what you just saw in front of the board for Flagstaff Montessori, that's what we do if a charter holder is looking to go from a for-profit to a nonprofit. So the charter and the school will stay consistent.
Perfect. Sorry, while I was looking that up, I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I was
just doesn't make
more
sense
curious about that.
For the
International Commerce Institute.
And then you have the online school that you chose to close?
We shut down the online school. I don't have the date in front of me, but we shut that down. And then because of COVID, we decided to open it up again. So we went through that process just as a precaution in case. I mean, the world looked different a couple of years ago, and so we said we would institute that up just in case. So.
How many students do you have enrolled in your online school?
Not very many. We have, I think there's 2 right now, and then I think last year we had 10 total. So a lot of the students would like to be in person, but we opened that up as just in case we needed to pivot.
So after doing some research in the system, what I see is that International Commerce Institute opened August 25th of 1997. It was closed June 30th of 2007. And the closure reason listed in the system is stopped providing educational services. Unfortunately, records back to 2007 beyond that are not housed in the online system. It would be in the paper file at the office. So I'm not able to look that up, but it is listed in the system as a school closure amendment, not a school name change amendment. I do know that the school name change amendment was in existence at that time as well.
Okay, could it be, tell me if I'm wrong. So I'm assuming because it does, so you have the two schools operating at the same time, the International Commerce High School Tempe and then the International Commerce Institute. So is it correct that you guys closed the International Commerce Institute? You didn't do a name change, but you absorbed those students into your Tempe campus. So it wasn't closed due to a name change, you just absorbed those students. Is that?
Yeah.
President Lee, if I may, we did look, they have two charter contracts. And so we did look under the International Commerce Secondary Schools, Inc. contract. And it does look like there is an open date around 2007 for that school. So it would be the International Commerce High School Phoenix. Does that sound correct?
That's not.
Okay, so they may have closed the school down in 2007 under humanities and then opened up a school under their other contract, International Commerce High School, which is an associated contract.
Oh, they have an associated charter. Okay, that's making sense. All right, I was like, just the dates that I didn't see that you had. Okay, perfect. I think that helps. And then talk to me about, so you said about 25%, you'll be losing 25% of your students at the Tempe location. So what does that do as far as, for sustaining that? And then, so how we make up that 25%?
Sure, we don't think we'll lose that 25%. We think we continue to enroll students, but Tempe Union High School District closed its alternative education high school compadre this year, and we've been gaining enrollments from that school or that closed school throughout the fall, and so we don't anticipate losing 25%. We feel that we've made up for that based on what the numbers are, and that happened after this packet was submitted. In addition to that, we'll be working with employers and like-minded institutions to continue to enroll students.
This one, so just so you know, typically when we have a school that comes up like this with this type of data, at least for myself, I'll speak for myself, historically, we have not approved a new school for that. However, I say that knowing that alternative, and I taught at an alternative school, taught math at an alternative school. And so I can appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I will say, I think that going from end of course testing, you brought this up, going from end of course testing to just testing sophomores drastically hurt the data that we can receive from alternative schools. It went from, and I know as a math teacher who's, Algebra 1 class had a 21-year-old sitting in it, that student would have been captured by the data and now isn't, and then last year, unfortunately, wasn't captured by the data. Some kind of changed my mind. Honestly, looking at the packet, came in here expecting an answer, a pretty strong no, but when you take a look at the data compared to alternative schools, right? So the alternative ELA average is 15%. In 2018, they were at 24%. In 2019, they were at 26%. And then for their math, the average is a 6%. They were at 27% as a math teacher, but I felt like was pretty darn good. 27% at an alternative school is actually is not a bad number when you talk about that test. So just to provide the board some boots on the ground, been there, kind of done that. And then when you talk about the other measures, right? Like that's why the CCRI for alternative schools is so important, because it kind of gives you a chance to show how you're testing students. I would be inclined, just tough, because if you hadn't shut down all those schools, I think this would be a little bit cleaner for me. That's kind of the thorn in my side right now, is that you have inconsistency with being able to keep schools open. for whatever reason. It's not like there was a name change, and it looks like that process, you know, or the nonprofit for profit, we've been able to fix that. The Saley, it sounds like is a very unfortunate reason. So I tend to go against what we've done consistently. What I've done consistently with this, based on the data that you provided, you aren't hitting the alt numbers of 6% and 15%. I don't like to see those numbers even at all, you know, at alt schools. I'm always a big believer alt schools need some of our best teachers because it's such a unique population. I like to hear that you're doing packets with the one-on-one support. You're not just, I've seen lots of alt models where they just stick students on a computer and kind of walk away. So I really appreciate that that's not that that's the wrong model. It's just, I appreciate that that's not your model. So I'm just letting you guys know that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously,
I'm willing to make a motion to approve the request. I want to, and I'm reluctant to use these terms that you're doing a good job, and because you look at the numbers and they don't really look that impressive, but you know, even your 78% graduation rate for the student population you're serving is actually pretty good. And you know, I know it's difficult, but based on your performance, I wish there was some more, as Mariana was referring to, some more better answers maybe for some of the school closures, but I'm willing to make a motion.
Let me ask one more question. What are you, okay, so seeing that this is kind of where you're at and where your numbers are in a post-COVID world, right? Because I'm looking at numbers.
Was that, are you making a motion?
Oh,
We're making.
No,
was that a?
I'm just saying I'm willing to-
ready.
Okay.
Yeah, is that
Okay, so I want to make sure we're clear for the record.
Yep, sorry. What is your academic team doing, right? Because I would argue, like, even at 26%, that's not enough, right? Like, we want 100%. At every school, we want 100%. So what, do you have some things in place that you're doing? Because it sounds like you have teacher-made packets.
We do. So if you look at this enrollment data, if I can start here, you'll notice that we have 64 juniors that are enrolled at this point as of last week. And these are all the students who are going to be testing. And then you'll notice what we talked about the data with where students are typically coming to us with. They're going to be taking the ACT test, and it's not going to be a good indicator for the success because those 60 kids are going to be a reflection on the hundreds of other students that we have. The seniors aren't required to take that test, and so that's the majority of our students, and that's not going to be reflected on any data. What we do is we make sure that we have a robust menu of assessments to make sure that we can document that our students are meeting not only the academic requirements, but also the college and career readiness. And that's this data that you have here. The red again indicates when they come to us, the blue after they finish some of the curriculum, and then the green before they leave. And then we have the history on the college and career readiness indicators.
I just have a question about that slide. So
Sure.
I apologize. No, can you go back? What is this test? What is I don't know what is that a test? What is the competency test?
It's the GED ready. It's the pre-GED ready. It's administered through, you can take it anywhere in the United States. It's scaled to college and career indicators nationally. It's recognized by the Department of Education. They have a $6 test that you can take, and we have everybody take that so that we have
an outside test.
It's an outside test,
You guys don't control the testing bank or anything like that.
We also use the CLEP exam. So this is the ACT work use, which is also one of the indicators that's been adopted by the Department of Education as demonstrating college and career readiness. All of our graduates go through and take this before they earn their diploma. So we have an indicator, and everybody tests higher than what the national averages are. We use, So we also use the college level examination program test. And we use the GED college ready test credit to document that our students have earned college and career indicators. So while the state standardized tests don't necessarily reflect the success because of when it's offered and who we have to go to, and because they come to us at a certain point in their career, we make sure that before they earn their diploma that they meet all of these benchmarks, and we use a lot of different assessments that are recognized nationally to indicate that.
I'll just say this. the opening and closing of all of the schools, and especially now when we talk about your AOI, if you're serving 2 kids.
Sure.
The longevity of that.
Sure.
You might be wanting to close that at some point as well, would be my guess. It's just that I just, as you guys, hopefully, if you get this approved, this school site is successful, so then maybe you do want to open another one. I just don't want to keep seeing school closures.
I appreciate that.
Does that make sense? So if you're cutting your losses with the AOI, do it do it now. Do you know what I mean? So we're not, you're not coming here in a year and it's like, oh, well, we only have 2 kids in our AOI and it's kind of own your program. You know what I mean? Like if program's not an AOI, then don't be, do the packets, do the one-on-one, do that piece. And I get the response to COVID, but there was also flexibilities to where you didn't have to open an AOI and you could have serviced that way. Do you know what I mean? Because it's hard for us and it's hard for our portfolio, right? To have open, close, regardless of the reason.
Appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
Another quick question.
Dr. Kerr, do you have something you want to chime in?
And your members can unmute at any time and say something as well. You guys don't have, because we can't see raising a hand or anything.
Sure.
So if you.
Mr. President, members of the board, just a comment, our average age of our students is 19 years old. And our student population has very little access to computers and or cell phones and that sort of thing. And we have our research on that is like less than 20% of our students have a computer or access to computer, and the ones that have cell phones are generally sharing it with their families. And it makes it very difficult to make those things work. Thank you.
Board members, were there any other questions or comments? Please. Yep.
So the maximum age is 21. Average age is 22. Is there a minimum age?
16.
Do you have any idea how many students you have now that are 16?
This is a snapshot of sorry. This is a snapshot of who we had enrolled as of last week. And it says 9th grade, but that's because they had not been given no, they hadn't been given a cohort. And so they're a minimum of 16 years of age, but they had not been in the system anywhere. So that was their right. So that was the cohort that was given. So we have 2 that are in that situation. We have 7 that are, and again, 7 that are sophomores. And again, these are all students that are 16 and above. 64 that are juniors and 223 that are seniors or 5th year seniors. But the cohort doesn't necessarily tie to their age because some of the students had never been in high school before and we're the first school to give them a cohort.
And then one more. So your anticipated enrollment is 100?
First year we anticipate serving 100 and then 150 and then 200.
Just commentary on that. I think that's very reasonable for that location.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know the area and it's I think you'll get students.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, go for it.
You're gonna go ahead and make a motion. I move based on the information contained in the board materials presented today to approve the request to add a new school to the contract held by Humanities and Sciences Academy of the United States Incorporated.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Hearing roll call.
Vice President Close.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright.
Aye.
Dr. Crockett.
Aye.
Mr. Mason.
Aye.
Ms. Rice.
Aye.
Mr. Stratton.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
I'm gonna vote no, but like to explain my vote. Going through this data, I was troubled with some of the closures and felt like there was a reasonable alternative for you to pursue with this learning center approach, is that since you have an unlimited enrollment cap, and I will, as long as I'm on this board, I'll be continuing understanding the importance of the mission of alternative education and getting to these kids. But I really, really don't understand the the lack of good data that we have to make decisions. And that could be user error on my part. But I think there is a lot of things that we could get. And I would like to see more of that going forward, but I think that, appreciate what you're doing and so no.
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
motion passes through majority.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have a charter renewal for Scottsdale Preparatory Academy, and Shannon, you're up.
Board President Lee, this is a board member Wood. I'm going to need to recuse myself because I've worked with this charter holder within the past year.
Okay, so just, I didn't give member Mason the heads up, but we're gonna put you in a room and then we'll bring you back out.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks. Okay, go for it, Shannon.
Scottsdale Preparatory Academy submitted a charter renewal application package on August 3rd, 2021 to continue operation of Great Hearts Academy's Scottsdale Prep with a current enrollment cap of 1,000. The school serves grades 6 through 12 in Scottsdale. As part of the renewal process, staff conducted a virtual academic systems review of Great Hearts Academy's Scottsdale Prep on December 9th, 2020, and a pop-in visit on December 14th, 2020. During the academic systems review, specific areas of the charter contract are reviewed to ensure a charter holder is in compliance. The charter holder was in compliance in all areas. The charter holder currently meets the board's academic, operational, and financial performance expectations, and I'm available for questions if you have any.
Board members, are there any questions for Shannon before we invite the charter holder? Okay, if not, is there a representative here from Great Heart? It's online. Okay, perfect, virtually. So at this time, Bianca, hey, sorry, okay. If you'd like to unmute yourself at the time, state the name for the record and any statement you'd like to make.
Okay, good morning, all board members. I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I'm feeling under the weather, and so I didn't want to risk it. My name is Bianca Uliberry. I'm the Director of Governance for Great Hearts, Arizona, and I wanted to thank staff. Shannon's always amazing with Rebecca on the great experiences that they're providing our school staff, who always are nervous before the board comes or a little shell shocked based on previous years. But I always get positive feedback, and what a joy it is to work with the team. And I'm here to answer any questions you guys may have.
Board members, are there any questions? The charter representative. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. All of your data looks good. You got the recommendation, so we will not.
President Lee?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Hello, Bianca. I just want to just address something that, obviously, great school, doing a great job. I went through your parent handbook when I was going through the materials, and just, I just want to make sure that we remember, and I know you guys are doing everything you can, but when I read the parent handbook, it doesn't say philanthropy is not required. It says it's your time and treasure are necessary to moving the school forward because we don't get enough money from the state. It doesn't, it's anywhere, and I don't think you're required to say that financial giving is not required, but my informal survey of people I know in the Great Hearts world, would say that it's not clear that financial support is not required. And that is one thing that came out in the Arizona Community Foundation and the ACLU report on enrollment. I did go and find that you did have the Arizona Charter School Bill of Rights on your website. I've asked Ashley some questions about that, if we can make that more readable. But just a comment that charter schools are public schools, and it's important for me to know that they are not, that attendance is not, people feel like they can't send their kids there because they can't give. And I'm not saying you've done anything wrong, just not really, in my opinion, really clearly stated in your parent handbook.
And thank you for that feedback. We have been talking to staff during our review also, and we are looking to make some more clear language or include clearer language in our handbook. So I'll definitely take that back to the team as well when we're looking for our changes for this upcoming school year's handbook. So thank you.
Thanks. That's fine.
No, thank you for that. All right, then with that, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I move based on a review of the information provided by the representatives of the charter holder and the contents of the application package to approve the charter renewal application package and grant a renewal contract with Scottsdale Preparatory Academy.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you. Karen, please.
Vice President Close,
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Aye.
Dr. Crockett,
Aye.
Mr. Mason,
I'll vote aye, and I'd just like to congratulate Great Hearts on such a great operation, and the community that you've developed around these schools is remarkable, in my opinion. I have 3 kids at one of the Great Hearts schools, and I couldn't be more grateful for the way you operate.
Thank you.
Ms. Rice,
Aye.
Mr. Stratton,
Aye.
Mr. Swanson,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Oh,
No.
yep. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here. All right. Okay. Thank you, Bianca. All right. With that. Okay. Up next, we have compliance matters. It looks like we have Phoenix Education Management LLC presented by Joanne.
Good morning, President Lee, Superintendent Designee Wright, and board members. Today you will hear from Phoenix Education Management LLC, which operates one school, Pioneer Technology and Arts Academy of Arizona, serving grades K through 8 in Phoenix. When last checked, the school had an ADM of 428. In the prior fiscal year, this charter holder underwent a change in charter control, which was approved by the board at its April 12, 2021 meeting. As a result of this transfer, Mr. Pandy is the manager and also charter representative, and Pioneer and Technologies Arts and Academy of Arizona is the sole member. The sole member is comprised of 5 directors. Additionally, the charter holder contracts with SS Partners LLC, doing business as SS Schools as its educational service provider. In this fiscal year, the charter holder was monitored under the first year review process in order to ensure the charter contract maintained compliance with federal and state laws after the transfer. On September 29, 2021, board staff conducted its virtual desk review of the school. Upon review of the documentation submitted by the charter holder, board staff identified multiple compliance issues leading to marking the charter holder's operational dashboard and requiring submissions to bring the charter holder into compliance. The issues identified deficiencies with the following: maintaining alignment of the mission statement and name of the school with the charter contract, providing the required minutes for reading per state statutes, providing the required minutes for recess per state statutes, maintaining policies and processes related to enrollment and attendance, maintaining appropriate fingerprinting documentation for instructional staff, complying with open meeting law, maintaining corporate board membership in alignment between the charter contract and the Arizona Corporation Commission, displaying the statutorily required teacher salary posting, and appropriate linking the charter holder's performance dashboards on its website. On October 15th, board staff did notify the charter holder of these issues through the first year review compliance report. The charter holder was required to submit documentation by November 14th, 2021. Outside of the issues identified during the first year review, the charter holder was also out of compliance due to its failure to submit its audit timely and failure to submit required documentation for move-on and reading to the Arizona Department of Education. The charter holder is currently in compliance with all its identified issues. I do know that Mr. Pandy and Ms. West are here in person, and Dr. Love is also not in person, but virtually. So before I hand it over, do you have any questions for me?
Board members, are there any questions?
Julie, so the audit is in as well?
Yes.
So I was just gonna ask that. So everything is in compliance as of today.
Correct.
All right, so then with that, let's get the charter holders up. If you guys want to go ahead and state your name for the record, and the charter rep that is virtual, you are more than welcome to unmute and jump in at any time you find appropriate. We can't always see you, so yeah, feel free to stay unmuted if that's more helpful. So, okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
President Lee and respected board members, my name is Shubham Pandey. I'm the superintendent for Pioneer Technology and Arts Academy. With me
Angela
is,
West, the principal.
and Dr. Love, who's our curriculum coordinator, is online. We represent the charter holder of Phoenix Education Management. The legacy name of the school was Sabas International. The new name is Pioneer Technology and Arts Academy of Arizona. We are here to address operation compliance issues connected to Phoenix Education Management. To start with, we have taken care of all compliance issues at this point, and we are compliant at this point. Additionally, we have taken help from Arizona Charter Association that has connected us to an Arizona consultant, Melissa Holdaway at Education Redefined, that is going to help us with the details of Arizona compliance requirements. We had charter change from Sabas to PTA in July. Just a few weeks before the PD for professional development for the teachers in July, and the schools officially started in August. There were specific templates that we use for scheduled board minutes that we tweaked to make that compliant to Arizona standards. While this is not an excuse to have any lapse in the compliance deadlines, this has been rectified since then. And as mentioned, we are using outside Arizona consultant help as well to go above and beyond. We really appreciate the board allowing us to present our case today, and appreciate for any help you guys can provide.
Thank you. Board members, are there any questions? Yeah, I have some too. I know you and I, it's you and I show. Okay, go for it.
Just, surprised to see you here so quickly. And I understand that through some discussions I've had with staff that, call it a little bit of not fully understanding Arizona and what all the requirements are of you, but this group is particularly sensitive of things in our dashboard, especially as it relates to fingerprints, things that protect our kids and keep them safe, and things that are required. So I'm glad to hear you're in compliance now currently, and that you've got people to assist you. Just a couple of further questions.
I have a question. So you talked about, or you mentioned, kind of this idea of Arizona law. That's always our biggest concern, is that people come here and we want you to know Arizona, live Arizona, have Arizona compliance. So what, because I thought that you said that you got outside Arizona help to help you get into compliance. And maybe I misunderstood you. What have you done? I know you said the Arizona Charter Association, which is great, but what have you done on your team personally to get somebody who knows Arizona state compliance?
So two things, sorry, I restate my statement. It was outside help, meaning outside the school help. And we have taken help from an Arizona consultant that we are working with. We also have a compliance person hired at school that will directly work with them to not only just work with operations, but other requirements as well. Just to state, at one point because of the transition, we were going to take over the old website that was compliant, but during this transition, that looked like that did not happen for all the reasons. So there was a lapse on our end, and the new website did not have a lot of things which the old website did.
So can you give me the background of who the compliance person is at your school? Do they have a history in Arizona compliance?
Ms. West, do you want to talk about Donna from yourself? So there are multiple people who are working on sites.
Yes, so having been a resident of Arizona since about 2016, and also being in a previous charter school, so I'll be helping more so with compliance issues as well as instructional issues on the campus, as well as our business manager, who is also providing us with Arizona specific audit assistance, as well as the auditor. We work closely with Craig and making sure, again, that we are not in the same position that we were before with the quick changeover and the transfer of the charter.
Okay, and have you managed Arizona compliance before? in a role prior to this role?
Some issues, not completely, which again is why we have our consultant that we got specifically from the charter board.
Okay, so you have the consultant and then the business manager as well.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and the business manager has a background in Arizona compliance?
She has worked for the last 2 or 3 years more on the financial side of compliance.
Sure.
So she will be basically taking over with Ms. West as well.
Okay, and it's my understanding, did you guys go to the charter rep boot camp that we put on as the board? Did you guys attend that? Because we have that, what, yearly? Is that correct, or twice a year?
We provided it once, correct, Shannon?
So far, we've done it once.
Yeah.
We have, the intent is twice a year.
Okay.
And we do have another one scheduled soon.
Have you guys?
I don't remember the date.
That's okay. Have you guys signed up for that or attended one?
No, we have not, but we will be attending the upcoming one. We did attend the Charter Association one.
Sure.
But that was after September as well, so it was after this deadline.
Okay.
President Lee and board members, we do intend to send invitations for Charter Representative Boot Camp today, and we will ensure that this charter does receive one.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. The other question I have then is this isn't quite compliance related, but you're up here, and we have access to your data. So I want to talk about your data a little bit. I'm concerned about two things. One, your enrollment has steadily declined, and not just a COVID decline, right? But from FY 2017, and I know that's when it was Sabas, to now, but it went from 685 to 494. And then when we look at your academic achievement data, right, it has steadily declined. And in fact, the other thing then I go to kind of look at, because data is one snapshot. So this test is one snapshot. So I kind of bounce around to see where is there some data that I can grab onto that I'm like, okay, I get this. But then when you go to your FAE data, that's even worse. So students who've been with you for 1 year have a 28%. Then they go down to, with 2-year FAE students is 17%, and then 3-year FAE students are 0%. So, and that's talking about ELA specifically, but the same for science, for math, we don't have 1-year FAE data, and then it goes from 17 to 13%. So can you talk to me a little bit? So there's this compliance side, right? That's why you're here, but we get to see the academic as well. So talk to me, because you're from the CMO, is that correct? So you guys are kind of coming in and saying, put your faith in us. We're going to learn Arizona law. We're going to do this, and then we're going to, help these students. What have you done?
So I'll address, and I'll let Ms. West talk from the campus perspective too. So the transition took place partly because of the data you're mentioning and why it was needed. We have a very rigid program on what we do. So when we come in, we do like a beginning of year assessment to get a snapshot of where the students are. We are right now working to what is called the MOI, mid-year assessment for us internally, that shows the growth from where our students have been to where they need to be. And that's when we tweak it to gain for the final assessment that we do in April. So we capture data on almost weekly basis, but the team who comes in to help them is coming on a monthly basis. So right now there is a curriculum team which is on at site, working with the teachers, kind of getting to the same option on, where the data is lacking, where the gaps are, and how to fill them. We have run schools, highly rated schools in other states. This is our first year coming in, and we're coming in a COVID year. I know there's a lot of learning loss in here that we are trying to capture, but we are we do understand how the legacy data was lacking and what we have done. Also, our recruitment goal starts early. We start in January, so we've already seen the numbers going up from last year for the upcoming school year. We didn't really have a lot of control on it. Again, it's not an excuse. I'm just trying, we didn't have because coming in right in July, but we do have plans to make it a strong, steady school with a strong enrollment growth in the upcoming years.
You guys took over July?
We took over July, so literally July 2nd was the first time when we actually got into the building.
Sure. And were you the administrator previously?
Only 1 year, so last year was my
I
first
remember
year.
the conversation now. Okay, yep.
That's
I got
last
it.
year's my
All right,
first year.
yep.
So I guess I would only add simply that PTA coming in really, I believe, is beginning to rejuvenate what we've been doing on campus. The curriculum is totally different than what SAPAS was doing. We have our SIM curriculum, which is very exciting, the hands-on that they've brought to our campus. And I think the excitement just in the change has been amazing. And again, our recruitment efforts have already begun to see some success in new students enrolling.
What's your benchmarking test?
We use Renaissance.
What are you doing for professional development for teachers?
So professional development happens from our regional level. So again, as Mr. Pandy said, they come once a month. So they're actually on campus for these next 3 days, as well as professional development happens just internally on our own calendar. So our last professional development was on Monday, January 3rd. So our teachers are constantly and consistently talking with each other. Again, this is a new curriculum for us. And so again, understanding that, using it with fidelity and making sure that our data points that we're looking at that and providing interventions where necessary for our students.
So as a principal, what do you think is the biggest contributor to having such low proficiency scores?
Again, I having only been there just 1 year, just with COVID, my experience was just, it was the COVID year. That was my experience last year. We had majority of our students were not in person, they were online. And of course, trying to navigate that virtual learning last year was, to say the least, a struggle for some of our staff members. But again, I think coming out of the pandemic, certainly this year and moving forward, we should certainly see the increase in our scores.
And you haven't completed your MLIs yet, right? So you don't know what the, I mean, you kind of know what the growth is, but you don't actually, you can't tell me any.
Correct.
Okay. Just, yeah, just a comment, please work on your data.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's not acceptable data, you know, that, and obviously compliance, but it sounds like you're going to the charter rep, we need Arizona, you know, representation there. Get on all the listservs, because you get all the emails, like Mauer sends you lots and lots of emails and all the things. So it can be done, but please look at your data. Okay. Board members, are there any other questions or concerns or questions or comments? Sorry. If not, is there a motion? Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yep.
I move to find that Community Education Management LLC hereinafter referred to in this motion as the charter holder has failed to meet the operational performance expectations set forth in the board's operational performance framework and has violated its charter contract and state and federal law. These failures and violations provide a sufficient basis to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's contract. However, the board is authorized to exercise its legal discretion with regard to actions taken against the charter holder that is not in compliance with the charter, other obligations to the board and state and federal law. In an effort to bring the charter holder into compliance, the board directs staff to work with legal counsel to develop a consent agreement that addresses the charter holder's non-compliance to the board's operational performance expectations, charter, and state and federal law. The board further directs staff to bring the consent agreement back to the board for consideration at a subsequent board meeting. If the charter holder chooses not to accept the terms of the consent agreement developed by board staff, then it is the board's decision that the charter holder be placed on a future agenda for a motion to issue a notice of intent to revoke the charter holder's charter contract for these reasons already specified.
Sorry, the motion already happened, so I can't say anything. Is there a second? Sorry.
Second, this is Carol.
Okay, roll call, please.
Vice President Close.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright.
Aye.
Dr. Crockett.
Aye.
Mr. Mason.
Aye.
Ms. Rice.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
I need to just say one thing. You know, the consent agreement is a document. I think you guys will get through this without a problem at all. You guys are probably, so aye.
Thank you.
Ms. Wood.
Aye.
President Lee.
I'll just explain why I did what I just did, because everyone's like, what's going on? I wish we would have added the verbiage of adding additional oversight. I think that could be helpful for you guys. But this motion is going to pass regardless of what I say. So I just, yeah, I hope to see you guys up here for good reasons. Thank you. So, all right, with that, aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. All right. Moving on. That was our only compliance matter. So agenda item L, I believe, actually.
Presently, Superintendent Designee Wright and board members, Mr. Dangerfield, the board's outside counsel for Huber versus ASBCS, is attending the meeting virtually. He is here to discuss with you this case and the board's position in the pending litigation and in settlement discussions.
Okay, Mr. Huber, if you would like to, I think you're on a call, so I'm not sure if you're muted, but if you want to unmute yourself, state your name for the record, and then any statement that you'd like to make.
Presently, that's Mr. Dangerfield.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Dangerfield. I apologize. If you would like to unmute yourself at this time and state your name for the record and any statement you'd like to make.
Yes, good morning. This is Mark Dangerfield.
Good morning.
So I've been listening half-heartedly while working on other matters till now, but is the board now in executive session?
We are not in executive session. We just introduced the topic.
Okay. So yes, I have some guidance to give the board, but it needs to be done in executive session.
Okay, perfect. So can there be a motion to move into executive session, please?
I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the board's attorney concerning this item and for discussion and consultation with this attorney in order to consider the board's position and instruct its attorneys regarding pending or contemplated litigation or settlement discussions.
I don't miss. Okay, is there a second?
Board President Lee, this is Board Member Wood. I second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Vice President Close.
Aye.
Superintendent Designee Wright. Dr. Crockett.
Aye.
Mr. Mason.
Aye.
Ms. Rice.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. If our virtual board members we're gonna put you in a different meeting room. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so just hang out with us and then we have to move. So it'll just be a minute, right? Yes. Okay.
Okay, just for the members online, you'll get an invite to join the room.
to start restarting again.
I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
All right, I believe we should, I gotta start the recording.
Okay, so with that, we're back from executive session. Aaron, just so we can confirm that there's quorum, if you could do a quick roll call, please.
President Lee,
Here.
Vice President Close,
Here.
Superintendent Designee Wright,
Here.
Dr. Crockett,
Here.
Mr. Mason, Ms. Rice,
Here.
Mr. Swanson,
Still here.
Ms. Wood,
Here.
President Lee, you have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Last thing on our agenda is just Miss Ashley Berg will give us an update on current events, future meeting dates, all the good stuff.
The only update I have for you is that the board meeting next time is on February 14th.
Great, with that, we're adjourned.
No, we don't.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.
Is there a price stop?
Let's look like this.